And ask me, are you dying as you live or living afraid to die? I couldn't lie, son. I heard God's son, like a calm hum. Died some, came alive some, up on high some. Lifted up that prison, you'll be sliding out that sepulcher. Crosshair on my body, don't care if they shoot the messenger. Ain't no weapon form shall prosper, gospel flow out me like lava. No enemy that we can't counter, Mouser. I spit heat throughout the heavens to the valleys, from the highs into the lows. Everybody.
I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
I think that my computer's crapping out on me. So, hello everybody. Sorry. I think I have butterfingers. Whoops. So the intro didn't run all the way. My bad. It's getting late. I don't usually do late shows, so I should be in bed right now because I am an old woman. But today we are going to discuss what I like to call the Mansonite Mafia and the mythos behind it. We are also going to discuss, it's funny to me, call it La Kosher Nostra. Now, before I start this show, and I am only going to say this once, so please hear me, take it to the bank, because I'm not going to repeat myself. I am not an anti-Semite. I know that certain people like to accuse me of that. How many times do I have to say that you can criticize a nation's government and not their people? I don't care what you believe. The funny thing about all of this is many of these individuals, whether unironically or not, at the end of the day, seem to be self-loathing Jews. It's a word. You're allowed to say it. They hate their ethnicity or their ancestors, not me. I don't get it. But the whole concept of like a Jewish Nazi is, it's totally processing and right, totally tracked. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run the intro since that one just like skipped out. And then we're going to get into it, who Nicholas Shrek really is, what his real name is. Nick, you might actually learn some stuff about your family that you didn't know. So hope you tune in. Not. guess I should update that ending because it has my old logo. Ha! I really got to get back into the swing of things. Hello, everybody. I'm definitely pointing out hello, Nemesis and Hades. It's so nice to see you. I didn't know what time it was there. Hello, everybody. It's not that the rest of you are not important. Now, let's just go ahead and get into it. Now, what I'm going to show you guys, I downloaded. Now, there's numerous sources out there. I guess this has been like a long, excuse me, I'm still getting over a cold. This has been a long time rumor about Nick Shrek's last name, real name, first name, last name. And it would seem to me that the information that has been out there has been a deliberate misinformation campaign to keep people off of the trail. And AJ Hiddell, Glenn Dubin, I don't know. I don't know who that is. When I saw Dubin, I was like, is it Nick and Dubin, Susan Dubin? But it's not. The truth is always more interesting. So I'm going to show you guys the first source that came up for me about this. And I mean, this author has a bend, and I don't know who wrote this, but I do think it's funny. This is the unauthorized biography of Nicholas and Zena Shrek. So let's just take a peek at how all of this is painted, yeah? Let me fix this so that it'll show up the right way. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that okay. Right here, Liar Liar, the unauthorized biography, 1999. So, it's just kind of talking about Nicholas and all of his stardom, right? But right here. And Shrek's real name was Barry Dubin. Shrek fumed that it wasn't true, just a vicious lie spread to discredit him by his enemies. And a guy who had previously been in an earlier band with Nick cornered him in the toilet of a Hollywood club and pummeled him with his fist. The assailant was Jewish and had a tattoo of a Star of David and the slogan, "Never Again." Shrek, now a laughingstock, left Los Angeles and fled to San Francisco. The rumors followed him. As pathetic as most Nazis are, what could be more pathetic than a Jewish Nazi? A Jewish Nazi is like a sad clown. The last word in pitiful. And again, I don't hate anybody for their ethnicity or for their beliefs at all. This is some seriously dark self-loathing, but it's not my problem. So, you guys have probably seen the yearbook photo. Yeah, so we're not going to start with that. What we are going to start with is Dad. Because I am positing the theory, this thing will quit screwing up for me, thank you. I am positing the theory right now, and for me it's not really a theory so much as fact, because it's the only thing that makes sense. But I know that there are a lot of Nicholas Shrek fans that watch my stuff. I've learned that as of late. I am going to ask everyone, how do you, for decades, push a mafia-related drug hit and ignore the pornography? The pornography that, we're on episode 9 of Manson on the podcast, and that's probably about 12 or 13 hours that we've been talking about that stuff. But Nick's little smartass Facebook post was, these were veiled hints by Mama Cass and Dennis Hopper. No, they weren't. It's just convenient timing that he brought that up, because I made the connection to Michael Davis, not him. But let's go ahead and let's see why. Because in my opinion, the family history leads to a connection. Surprise. Surprise. So, let's go ahead and get into some genealogy. Here we go. So, right here, here's Dad. Dad, it's Dobin. It's Dobin, it's not Dubin. Now, Dad was a busy guy. He was married at least once before getting married to Nick's mother. But that's all good and well. Hey, who am I to judge, right? I'm single, so, and I'm how old? I'm freaking middle aged, so whatever. Anyways, so right here. This is from the National Jewish Welfare Board, Bureau of War Records, MasterCard System, Jerome Dobin, next of kin, parents, Mr. and Mrs. Oscar Dobin. And he was in the Navy, because we're going to read some of an interview from Nick, where he does mention that, his dad was a Navy man, I believe. And over here, his dad is actually listed in the wounded section of the Combat Naval Casualties and Wounded World War II. And right here, this is from the Jewish Post, February 23rd, 1945. Jerome Dobin, 21, Naval Reserve of the Bronx, in the invasion of southern France when his LST suffered a direct hit. I think his dad got a Purple Heart for this. I don't know. Anyways, I went ahead and also pulled all of his records that were available in Ancestry, right? So that way we have them. There you go. Don't really know what all of that means. Don't really care. Now, what was Dad really known for? Initially, Dad was a PR guy, advertising, right? That was his big shtick. So originally, he was at Rosen Gold Dobin Advertising Incorporated. They were pretty big in Miami. He was heavily involved in Americana hotel merchants groups. He was big in the hotel scene down in Miami and the Doral area as well. And then right here, appointed to the board of directors of the American Savings Building and Loan Association. Is that connected to the scam in the 80s? Maybe, maybe not. You can choose for yourself when we see the FCC investigation that he gets pulled into in the 80s. And over here, Jerome Dobin of Dobin Advertising, added to the Greater Miami Beach Restaurant Association. These are just a couple of copyright registration cards that I found in the way back. We love to see all of that. And over here, because he was a bigwig. He really was. His uncle's fascinating too. Clients become admin for a day in the agency's school. So, advertising agency president Jerome Dobin is turning his agency into a one-day school for clients. Bada boom, bada bing. Yeah, hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. You already know. Whoops, Butterfinger. Sorry. All right, let's keep going. All right, so I pulled every single ad that I could find, excuse me, in the way back. Any company that I could find that he was working for, marketing, sales, anything, honestly, that would come up. But as you can see right here, he also had Dobin Advertising as well. A lot of this is from Advertising Age, Television Age. Let's see, yeah, that's from the Manufacturing Confectioner. Don't know what that means. And right here, Jerry Dobin, president of Dobin Advertising Inc. So, he's going by Jerry or Jerome. Okay. Now, right here. Here he's getting appointed to Graphics Advertising Incorporated. You may be asking yourself, Dana, why are you pointing all of this out? Because some of this stuff is going to stick out to somebody. Not me. My brain is totally fried from pulling all of this. But somebody's going to notice something because you guys are smarter than me. I think it's fascinating that this company, Weiss and Geller Inc., who right here, Jerome Dobin is president of the Miami branch, they are overseeing the marketing for DuPont Murphy. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, riding a real big struggle bus there with the DuPonts, right? Okay, whatever you say. But let's go ahead and let's continue. Now here's Mom. I don't really know how much more paranoid you can get that the Miami representative for Barbachano Travel Service that was going to the Yucatan and Cozumel in 1971 is Nick's mom. Yeah? Because the process, right? But Mrs. Judy Dobin has opened a talent promotion agency specializing in PR. The name of the company is JD Associates Inc. Fun fact, doesn't exist on paper. Is it a shell corporation? Who really knows? I haven't been able to find anything. But right here from December 29th, 1968, we have further confirmation. Grandchildren, Barry Dobin, Judy Dobin, Barry. Barry, you're going to be called Barry from now on. And here are some photos of Nicholas Shrek, aka Barry Dobin, with his mom. Look at that head of hair. I gotta tell you, Nick, you had fantastic hair, man. You had great hair. And honestly, an excellent sense of style, because I totally dig like disco fashion. So, not mad at it. But yeah, that is Nick and his mom. Okay, there you go. So, this is on the mom's side of the family. I had to include this because, well, wouldn't you know it, they're from Westchester County, New York. Because they're always from Westchester, aren't they? And I was kind enough to remove, even though this, only goes back to like the mid 90s, I don't want to get accused of doxing, so I removed all the addresses here and stuff, okay? But there you go. So we have yet another Westchester connection. I'm waiting for somebody to come in here and tell me that coming from Westchester County is not a crime. I would disagree at this point. So, but right here, this father and son cut battles down to size. Jerry Dobin and his 11-year-old son Barry are two pacifists who just can't get enough war. So this is Nicholas Shrek and his dad. Right here. See? They're making these little models, right? Kind of interesting. I mean, I think the models look cool from what you can see there. But right here, Dobin, a naval volunteer in 1943. Yeah, he did win a Purple Heart in World War II during the invasion of Normandy on D-Day in 1944. Apparently, Nick and his dad were writing a book together, outlining all of their 71 battle scenes with historical facts, pictures of the dioramas, and tips for others who want to start the hobby. The book never came to fruition. Now, right here, the Miami Herald, 1975, apparently they put on a little display. Too bad that there isn't more information about it. But right here, 1972, tell me if this isn't a, sign of the times, or, I don't know, prophecy. I have no idea. Barry Dobin, 10. Won first place in the Florida Council of Teachers of English competition, elementary school division, for the movie he wrote, produced, directed, and starred in. All Daddy, Jerry G, did was hold the camera and schlep the coffin to the Spanish monastery, for Dracula craves blood. Yeah, tell me that that's not predicting the future, right? It's a little too on the nose, if you know what I mean. Just my opinion. But here is a high-def version. And I did not mention that I need to thank my dear friend Echo Cat. Holy shit on a stick. Excuse my French. I'm sorry. Echo Cat, my dog. I'm not in the groove of things. Echo Cat. Paka. Demon Fighters Anonymous. This is brought to you by Demon Fighters Anonymous. Demon Fighters Anonymous. Thank you, friends. This was a collaborative effort. This was not all just me. I did find the yearbook photo, and that sent us all spiraling. And now here we are. Let's go ahead and let's continue. So there's the high-def photo. And here's where things get predictably dark. Predictably dark. Okay? So, let's continue. Jerry Dobin has made sex his hobby. Now, Dobin, a rangy, middle-aged 6'3" bundle of articulate energy, is hardly centerfold material. You might guess that his spare time pursuit is something dusty like military history. In fact, that's his other sideline, except that there's a little flirtatiousness in his eye, a semi-glint that telegraphs his intentions to those in rapport and just goes right past those who aren't. When I mention my hobby to people like me, who are in the middle, it takes a minute to realize it's not a facial tic. When I mention my hobby to people, there's always some smart aleck who says, yeah, sex has been my hobby for years. But that's not what I'm talking about. I liken it to people's interest in food. It's a visceral drive that makes us eat, and some people, he says, are content to fill their bellies with hamburgers and beans. Others want an attractive menu, well cooked food, a certain atmosphere, seek out new restaurants, new specialties. They take gastronomic tours, boom up on the place of food and history, enroll in cooking schools, and all this starts with a visceral drive. They may not eat any more in quantity than the guy who's content with beans either, to be considered hobbyist. The thought of sex as hobby occurred to him after the demise of his first marriage, which he says he might have saved if he'd gone steadily, I don't know, that's a bad typo, steadily into sex sooner instead of just playing around, and his decision coincided with a second marriage. Judy, the medical technician he married in 1960, is quite a hobbyist herself, to put it in gentle terms. She prefers it to being a sports widow, and evinces no jealousy as his leadership brings them both into extramarital experiences. Although that's not a necessary part of having sex for a hobby, he amends for the family trade. The book, issued by Ace Nonfiction in paperback after its first buyer, Olympic Press, went bankrupt while it was in galley form, we're going to be coming back to that, is not a how-to, but a why-to, he says. The language is graphic, the scenes explicit, but he denies it's a dirty book. On the other hand, there's a 10,000 book back order on the volume locally already, which is a sure indication that it's no Louisa May Alcott production. And blah, 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 blah. Now, down here, Dobin keeps up with his advertising business, but with the lifestyle most businessmen would envy. He runs his one-man business from home, which gives him plenty of time with his 13-year-old son, who's an avid participant in his father's other hobby of making historic dioramas. He has 160 in his garage, loaned 18 of them on the American Revolution, about which he's written another book, to Jordan Marsh for its recent bicentennial kickoff. And this is where we get into all of this. Because this is why the family moved to California. Right here. Because Jerry Dobin was giving up Miami for Hollywood, baby, where he'll be script consultant on a film version of his new book. Three-color ad man? His explanation, lots of gray matter plus green and white tennis sneakers. Is anybody else out there smart enough and dark enough to figure out the frickin' sneaker thing? Because they mention it a lot, and I have a feeling that it's not something good. Down here is just talking about a party. Okay, he's holding a little party, giving autographs, right? Because people are loving it. They're loving the book. Apparently, according to Screw Magazine of the Miami Herald in October of 1975, it was more fun to read than The Joy of Sex. Okay? But right here, 3 authors of sex books will hold seminars for passengers above the Mardi Gras on December 13th, sailing from Miami. And who is listed right there? Jerry Dobin, the writer of Make Sex Your Hobby. Yes, Dad is going on sex cruises, speaking on sex cruises. Isn't that fascinating? And here he is speaking about women's rights. Very fascinating as well. Women have climbed off of their pedestals only halfway. They're still on the fence, which is an awkward position, which is why they scream so much. It hurts. They don't know what they want to be. Okay, Jerry, whatever you say. I'm not going to sit here and read all this crap, because this is all just foolishness to me. But let's go ahead and continue. So, here's more in regards to this book, because it really blew up. It really blew up. It was quite popular. Right here in this article. So, do I have to read this? I don't want to read it. Let's just go ahead and read it. 4-letter word that best describes the new book, Make Sex Your Hobby, written by a Miamian, is wow. W-O-W-W. Not just plain wow, but wow. Author, advertising man Jerry Dobin says the anecdotes related in this book are about real people with normal-sized genitals, usual appetites, and average sexual prowess. The only thing that makes them different is that they have the guts to turn their sexual fantasies into realities. All you need is the guts to read about them. Dobin runs the gamut from perversion and spinning to swinging, pornography, the pleasure pain complex, which he calls Sadie Macy. Sadie Macy? What kind of name is that for sadomasochism? Can someone tell me? Anybody? Bueller? Huh? Troialism, two's company but three's a ball, and orgiastics. The book also contains some old dirty jokes, which leads one to believe experiences cited as factual were merely built up around stag humor. In any event, novices in the hobby of sex might learn a few new tricks. Meh. Alright, let's keep going. So here's another one. Right now, he's on the lecture circuit, right? Look at him. He's just doing the most. Okay? Now, over here, I thought that this was interesting. Local advertising exec Jerry Dobin hitting newsstands on August 15th with his newest sexology volume titled Make Sex Your Hobby. Currently, in his typewriter, is another manuscript linking the author's two hobbies: sex and the military. Oh, really? Really? Oh, do tell. Do tell, Jerry. And there's got to be a joke there someplace. Yeah, I bet. This is all just prophecy foretold. It's extremely dark. So, but right here, let's get into a little bit more of the sex cruise. Sex cruise. Who wants to go on a sex cruise in 1975? You get to go to St. Martin and San Juan and St. Thomas. How does that sound? Yeah, that sounds super fun. Now, over here, because I'm going to switch over to another document, we're going to take a break from this, but just to clarify that there's more than one article saying that Dobin's book was going to be published by Olympia Press. Right here, ad man Jerry Dobin is in the middle of final revisions on his book, Make Sex Your Hobby, which he modestly describes as the definitive Bible of the sexual revolution. Olympia Press will publish it. Well, who's Olympia Press? Olympia Press is run by Maurice Gerodius, founder of the Old Olympia Press, discoverer and first publisher of Lolita, William Burroughs, and publisher of hardcore pornography in the former Traveler's Companion series. It's gonna get really, really dark. This is all gonna get really, really dark, guys. So buckle up. Buckle up. Because I'm not looking forward to it. But I've had to suffer through all of this, and so will you. Because we have a very recent article from Nick that we are going to go through. And actually, I'm going to load it in here really quick. Because he says a lot of really insane things in this recent interview, like the fact that he still worships Set. So I'm going to make myself clear from now on. I'm not going to state it as an opinion. People want to sit there and say that like they've that or like they've left the Church of Satan or like they've left the process. The fuck you have. If you are still practicing the exact same things and you're still holding the exact same ideologies and you have a lock of hair in a frame in your house and you're wearing a vial of Charles Manson's ashes around your neck, you're a Nazi Manson simp. And you've been grifting off of this mafia drug hit angle for decades. But guess what? The grift is up. Sorry, not my problem. All right, let me see if this is done loading. Hopefully. Come on. It's not ready yet. Ooh, is it almost ready? Maybe. Maybe. Hold, please. Hold, please. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's see. Let's see if it's going to do it. I don't think it's going to. There we go. All right. Cool. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see that? Hopefully. Hopefully that's a yes. All right, so we chat with Nicholas Shrek, musician, writer, Buddhist, occult practitioner, and filmmaker. This is from February of 2024. Okay, so away we go. And hopefully you guys can read that. I may have to pull this up here. I don't want to read the entire thing, but I do think it's important that we read through some of it. So let me catch up on my window over here. Nicholas Shrek is a man of multiplicities, an internationally recognized authority on the occult and Buddhism, hot take, a worshiper of the divine feminine, a vegan, a musician who has worked solo in groups and as a producer for people such as actor Christopher Lee, an author and a friend of, an expert on Charles Manson. Disagree. Disagree. To name but a few of the man's many achievements. Born during the early 1960s, Nicholas grew up in America where he was raised by liberal, well-off parents who exposed him to travel culture and the finer things in life, along with encouraging his diverse interests and creative leanings from a young age. He attributes his fascination with Manson to seeing the reports about Squeaky Fromm. Let us continue to the next page. Come on, come on. Right here. So he befriended Manson in 1985. And so cute the way that they describe this. Organizing the infamous 8888 rally at the Strand Theater in San Francisco. An event and performance held on the 19th anniversary of the Tate LaBianca murders, which also involved Boyd Rice and Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. Also performing in the event was Zena LaVey, Anton's daughter, and Nicholas's eventual lover, collaborator, and wife for over 25 years. With Nicholas and Zena going on to form a new lineup of Radio Werewolf, who went on to tour Europe and develop a cult following in Germany. Hold on. Who's being disrespectful? Nobody needs to know what. What did Fractals say? I'm very curious. Did I miss something? I have no idea. I shouldn't be looking at the chat. I'm confusing myself. All right, let's go. Let's go to the next page. Here we go. And no, we're not going to read the entire thing. Honestly, some of these photos, Nick, honey. Yeah, oh God. Some of this is embarrassing. I don't care though. Let's just move through it, right? So, this part right here, I tried to highlight stuff that was interesting. That way we're actually not reading through this nightmare of 30-something pages. But he says that he grew up in the 60s in a bohemian family engaged in the counterculture and the psychedelic and sexual revolution. I was free to explore the then ubiquitous occult revival and soon became fully immersed in magical lore. I count myself fortunate to have had adventurous, supportive, nonconformist parents who allowed me maximum freedom. Yeah, that's one way to put it, bud. All right, whatever you say. It's just, I don't know. I mean, again, you don't punish the children for the sins of the father, right? But it's just like, good God. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Oh, this is long. This is going to be a long show, guys, as long as I can stand it. So, let's continue. So, encountering ancient Mayan and Aztec temples of Mexico and the voodoo culture of Haiti in my childhood was a significant impetus to my initiation and relationship with deities. Like the process, Nick? Nick, I have a question for you. That travel agency that your mom was the Miami rep for, did she hook that up? Yeah. All of these interests were fanatical and obsessive, including a deep enchantment with military history and the mystique of the warrior, encouraged by a family of combat veteran military officers on all sides. All the seeds of what I've become were planted then. Then why are you so ashamed of your genealogy, Barry? Huh? You shouldn't be. I'm embarrassed for you. The self-loathing is real. Now, do I actually believe that this photo was taken on August 9th? No. I think that he probably made that up, like, to be, like, an edgelord. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is symbolic of what I'm going to be doing decades later. Anyways, continuing. Now, as far as him leaving high school early, all this tracks because I can't find him in the yearbook after the one photo that I found. But it is incredible what one photo can do, right? And allegedly, one of his first bands that he founded, the avant-garde duo Skull Culture, they formed it on the day that John Lennon was shot. Whatever. And the next thing, what was it? Oh, yeah. In real life, I also fell in love with the genuine underworld. And my first real job was working at a front for the Hungarian mob. Oh, really, Nicholas? Yeah, do tell. Do tell. Inquiring minds would love to know. If you are so knowledgeable in the underground mafia world, you can't ignore the porn angle, Nick. You've avoided it on purpose, bud. All right, so let's go to this next one. Look at how super serial they are in this photo. This is skull culture. They're super serial. Super serial. So here, discussing in his 20s, his first effective sex magic operations, period of systematic psychedelic experimentations. He also tried to start a commune. Didn't work out. Is anyone surprised? Not me. And then down here, talking about the tantric cult of Kali, where he researched esotericism in the Third Reich in Egypt. Oh, look at him. This is all this intellectual Satanism that everybody keeps telling me about. That's really just neo-Gnostic paganism with a whole lot of Nazi bend, right? So here he's discussing his 30s. I don't really care. You guys can find the hyperlink and I will put it into the description after the show because we're going to keep moving on because I'm real sick of Nick. So, in regards to this timeline, discussing Xena's late son Stanton, that basically he was very happy that, uh, he passed away. He has some really vile things to say about him. And look, I think that that guy had a very complicated life. I read some crazy stuff in the newspapers about him, but I'm not talking about him today. So all you Nick Shrek fans can just calm it down for 5 seconds, right? But the failure Wax Museum Hell House of Hollywood, Nicholas claims that it served a magical function above and beyond its apparent operation. Their return to the U.S. was necessary to reveal human nature as unreliable and deceptive and to defeat our enemies. Because Nick is under the impression that him and Xena are going to save us. Unwarranted sense of self-confidence? Anybody? Now, they also talk about, this gigantic mistake of joining the Temple of Set. They love going on these PR smear campaigns, kind of like what they did with Aquino against Anton LaVey. It almost seems like it's staged that way, right? It's just my opinion, though. And here, so detailing his 40s, Xena, the high priestess of the Temple of Set. Xena, why didn't you bring that up on your Jordan Peterson interview, huh? Is it because you're still a Nazi? Just curious. So she runs the Scythian Liberation Movement, allegedly, according to Nick. Let's continue. Here we go. Oh, look at him. There he is with his BFF. Look at him. Charlie was a tiny guy, huh? I don't know how tall Nick is, but he's a tiny guy. Tiny little dude. Well, he was. And here he is doing whatever fake and gay goth stuff that is. That's fine. Don't really care. Talking about the eternal feminine. So, some of his favorite items. My father's LSD jar from Mexico circa 1968. What's up with that, man? Our dude Carl talks about the Peyote Church of God. That looks really similar to the Peyote Church of God. Like, I don't know. I wonder if they linked up with them. Now, the next thing, a necklace containing ashes of Charles Manson, a gift from Derek Hayes. Because just when you thought that Barry, paging Barry, couldn't get any cringier, he carries Manson's ashes around his neck. And the power charge book that guided me through my early 1983 voyage to Mexico in search of rare entheogens. You know who else was doing that in 1983? Timothy Wiley. Did you link up with him, Nick? Yeah, maybe. You guys are getting all process brained out there. Yeah? Okay, let's continue. All right, so here talking about, oh boy, this is where we get into all the BS, I think. Let me skip on my side because I was able to read with the photos. Cringe. So, Nick is changing the story yet again because I do have some of those old prints of the transcripts. We've talked about it on the podcast, right? What did he say? A magician, puts himself at risk ignoring such signs because he was working on Xeroxing a photo of Gary Hidman's ear. And so this is why, he lost his ear, right? But now, as time has passed, a little bit of historical rewriting is occurring. This is a little bit closer to the truth, a little bit closer. So, Nick, I'm going to say bourgeois. How about I say bourgeois? Because you guys are all into that stuff. Like, we got to take down the bourgeois. Why don't I just say that? I don't really care. Nick the Dick. How about that? But they were playing a prank by pasting pink flyers with an anti-gay message. This is going to become very important in a little while when we are talking about the Abraxas Foundation and their sex rituals and their blood rituals. So keep that in mind, okay? However, he likes to sit here and say it was just a prank, basically. It's all just a prank, and they're being edgy. But yes, they did attack him and cut off his ear. Previously, he said that it was random black people that came and attacked him. He's changed his story numerous times. And then, he still continues with the whole magical element in regards to the Sharon Tate Victims of Violence Fund, I believe that it is. But he didn't feel ethical taking that because he's the standard of ethics, right? Like, that's not right. Okay, whatever you say. But again, this is all magic to him, right? It's all real magical. Yeah, he's a magical guy. Again, right here, talking about the death of Stanton, his welcome and entirely expected demise. I mean, it would seem that, Stanton was one of the first people. Well, actually, no, not one of the first. I lied. Maybe I'll show you guys if I still have it, because I found it in the 1994 Cauldron issue, this really old goth magazine. There was somebody else that was calling out Nick, saying that he was Barry Dobin, not Dubin, but also Stanton did it as well. So, boo-hoo, hoo-boo-boo. Oh, I don't like my family history, hoo-boo-boo, so sad. All right, so let's continue because I really don't feel like reading all of this crap. Look, there he is. Did you guys like my PTK meme with this photo? I thought it was quite hilarious. That's him, for those who are wondering or who didn't recognize him. And oh yeah, there's the other photo, right? Now, in this, let's skip down a few pages because the braggadocious nature of these individuals, they can never resist, and I will always benefit. I became aware early on of William S. Burroughs' ideas of using writing as sorcery. My father knew Maurice Gerodius, the publisher of the Olympia Press. How well did he know him, Nick? Because you and I both know that this ties directly in to mafia and pornography. Inquiring minds would like to know. I'm not expecting an answer from you after the nasty things that you've said about me. And then right here, just because, it's like Kill Bill sirens, like, one of his favorite producers is Krzysztof Komeda, which if you've been listening to the podcast, you know why I highlighted that. So let's continue. See how many more pages we got. Oh, look, there's Nick. look at him. Apparently, Nick is a ginger. For any of you ladies out there that are into gingers, there he is doing who knows what with who knows who. But let us continue. And what do we have up here? Oh, his favorite directors. Isn't it cute that he includes Polanski? Predictable. You're all predictable. It's all predictable. It's all just one big cosmic circle jerk. Look at how cool he thinks he is. Dude is such a joke. Sorry, I don't feel bad. I'm not saying allegedly. I don't care. Don't care. Let's keep going. Yes, queen. Yes, queen. He's not wearing shoes. That's gross. You nasty. You nasty, Nick. Put on some flip-flops, you dirty. Anyways, there he is with Christopher Lee. Don't really care. He looks slightly normal there, though. Good for you. And let's see what we've got here. His beliefs, his religious practices, right? I remain a devotee of the god Seth. So it is one of his two central poles of daily religious practice. So it doesn't mean that you left the temple. Okay? Now, right here. Because, I don't preach at people, even though these jackasses like to call me a Christian extremist. Who have I preached at? I literally just come at y'all with facts. I bring your own words to you and challenge you on them. That's not me being an extremist of any type. Unless I'm an extremist for the truth, then guilty as charged. But right here, Yahweh, he is the demiurge. A malevolent creature who feeds on blood. All right, thanks for letting us know your position on that, Nick. There he is. He's calm, he's cool, he's Buddhist, man. Yeah, it's all good. And in regards to the actual motivations behind the Manson crimes, well, those were already documented. So what the fuck excuse my French, but what the fuck are you gonna do now with the Michael Thieves connection, Nick? What are you gonna do? You're gonna do nothing. I mean, you can try, whatever, but I'm 10 steps ahead of you. Anyways, when the dust finally settles, how do you think Charles will ultimately be remembered? And Nick says, as the accuracy of his Atwa vision becomes painfully clear, as a martyr and a prophet. The extreme demonization is guaranteed to lead to an equally extreme sanctification. That's how religions are born. Yeah. Because you're in a cult, and you have been since day one, and I'm tired of these people acting like they're not. They all worship Manson, and they're all Nazis. And it's gross. And it's very Processian. And here's just a couple different covers of his book. Let's keep going. There's some more. He gives excuses about what happened with COVID and people maybe getting their books and maybe not getting their books, and who really knows, right? So, there we go. That's that. Now, so annoying. That was a really long interview, right? That was a really long interview. And obviously, I skipped around with some things, but you can read it for yourself. Now, let's get into the rest of this PowerPoint. Because at least you've seen that he said that his dad knows. Gerardius, whatever, right? So, you've seen that. That's cool. So, would you like to see Barry's dad's book? Because I found it. I know that these people play the name game. Can't find a copy of it, though. I'm so curious. There it is. That's Nick's dad's book. What do you think? Would you like a copy? Don't know where you can get it, but maybe available at a bookstore near you. Who really knows? So, it says that it did not get published by Olympia. Why? No clue. Because Gerardius didn't go anywhere. But right here, listed in the terminal connection, make sex your hobby. It's listed twice, right here. But we have got Margot, the UN call girl. That's convenient. Let's see. Massage parlors, sex in prison, teenage hookers. Huh. What a classy guy, right? And Ace Books is very problematic. If you know anything about Mr. and Mrs. Walter Breen, that's who published their books. And possibly some of L. Ron Hubbard's stuff, because they were friends with L. Ron Hubbard, right? So birds of a feather and all that jazz. But right here, we have at the, what is this? A lecture and debate. Jerry Dobin. The sex triangle. Sounds complicated. Sounds a little bit messy. This is at the Singles Society, December 1st, 1975. And again, talking about this shipboard sex. Because they all really want to get weird on a boat. Why? I don't know. That freaks me out. Sounds gross. So, remember that I had mentioned in regards to Dad. So later on, maybe there's some funny money going around. Obviously, it took me quite a bit of time to go through all of that past history because we still got to look at We got to look at Uncle Paul. Uncle Paulie, right? But this is in 1985. This was a huge FTC investigation. This company, what is it, American National Cellular, ripped off people for millions of dollars. Millions. And Jerry, Dad, was the marketing director. His parents basically fall off the radar in between these two timelines. Hold on. Go back, you little hoe. There you go. Between these two timelines, they can fall off the radar, which is very unfortunate. What they were doing, I don't know. He makes it sound like his parents were, like in the hippie scene, bro. Right? So, who really knows? But now let's get into Unk. Because there's some very strange rumors that with Dobin, that the uncle is a Rabbi Paul Dobin of Hollywood, who did a lot of reform. Not true, fake news, fake and gay. Paul Dobin is his uncle. Yeah. Paul Pinchas Dobin. And if you see right here on his registration card, he went to Harvard Law School. He's a smart guy, right? He's a real smart guy. We dig it. Yeah. And he passed away in 1978. No, Butterfinger dummy. All right, so right there. Right? Okay. So, this is Uncle Paul. Now, first thing for me, right here. Videotapes Inc. versus the Federal Communications Commission. Do you see the address of the building that Mr. Paul Dobin is working out of? That is the Cafferts building, the same Cafferts that is directly connected to Charlene Cafferts and NXIVM. I just thought that was really interesting, considering that is 1967. Yeah? No. Right here, this appointed the chief of reorganized FCC Broadcasting Bureau's Rules and Standard Divisions, right? And over here, our respects to Paul Dobin. Am I going to sit here and read all of this? No, absolutely not. Now, over here, Paul Dobin, well-known attorney. Let's just zoom it in. There we go. Reformed Jews hold conference here, Virginia Gazette, November 8th, 1968. Paul Dobin, well-known attorney and member of Temple Sinai of Washington, D.C. And right here, the Wisconsin Jewish Journal, February 1st, 1974. On another note, however, Paul Dobin, Washington, D.C., chairman of the Interfaith Commission of the UAHC, observed that many Christian bodies still seem to place heavy reliance on the UN, hoping, sometimes against hope, that it may be the final arbiter of peace in the Middle East. Given the history of the UN and antipathy towards Israel's plight, such reliance may be too optimistic and not altogether warranted. Christians must face that truth more realistically than they have heretofore. In the trying days ahead, when it will take rational thinking and political understanding to live with shortages that the US and Europe will be forced to contend with, the sympathetic enlightenment of our Christian friends and neighbors is a plus and positive factor which Jews will greatly appreciate. We court the goodwill of our Christian brothers not because of emotional appeal, but because of justice and reason. We welcome them in our corner, at our side. Christians can express decency and democracy by declaring themselves for a people and nation harried too long in search of truth and peace. Okay, whatever you say. So, right here. Told ya. I like the word unk. Uncle Paul. He's a big wig guy, right? In Judaism, 1961, he is one of the moderators of the laymen's evaluation of Sabbath services. Okay. We also have him. He's in numerous reports on the Joint Commission of Interfaith Activities. I didn't pull every single one because I care. Okay, I don't freaking care. I'm not sitting here going through all that. Over here, he's reelected to another term on the national board. Paul Dobin, Washington, D.C. Okay, great. Wonderful, whatever. Here's the FCC thing again. Great. I'm showing you how connected his family is. He's very connected. Okay? And I wouldn't say he's just connected because of his genealogy. Assholes might say that. But I would say that between the Hollywood connection with dad, or alleged Hollywood connection with dad, right? And Unc being a big wig lawyer, well, I would say you probably have some connections. Do you think those connections might grease the palms a little bit to get in to see Manson so many damn times? Maybe. Who knows? Now, this is what I thought was most fascinating. Just my personal opinion. Paul Dobin was the attorney for the National League of Cities. This is a very, very, very old NGO. One of the oldest in the United States. They are very controversial and part of the Big Seven, a group of organizations that represent state and local governments in the United States. There is a lot of controversy regarding the National League of Cities, and I may end up just doing like a whole separate show on it because it's very fascinating to me seeing these really old NGOs at this time. But yeah, he's very plugged in. Now, here's Grandpa. Word has been received here, December 9th, 1956, of the death of Oscar Dobin, 70, last Tuesday in New York City, where he had been making his home. Mr. Dobin lived here at one time. His father, the late Rabbi Eli Dobin, was once spiritual leader of congregation Poel Zedek. Oscar Dobin is survived by his widow, Miss Bertha Dobin, two sons, Paul, Uncle Paul of Washington, D.C., and Jerome of New York, two sisters, Miss Dora Jacobs and Miss Ann Meyerowitz of New York, and three grandchildren. So, what happened to great-grandpa? Well, somebody get out the, what is it, the little eye monocle thing? And let's figure this out. I would like to know what happened to this guy. So Rabbi Eli, this is in 1936, this dude literally disappears. Never found. Ever. Which is so strange to me. It's so strange. They end up announcing him dead years later, but literally this dude just dips out and is never seen again while leaving the Poel Zedek synagogue. Kinda weird. What did they do to him? He was an old guy. Leave the old guy alone, right? It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit sus. So, what is the Poel Zedek? This is one of the oldest synagogues. Absolutely stunning. I sat there like this is a little interactive video where you can see the inside, and I'm like, oh god, look at the glass and look at the wood. It's so freaking beautiful. But it says most of the early congregates were from Russia or Poland. This tracks. It says Ashkenazi or Sephardic. Ashkenazi totally tracks, as these people did come from Russia. I believe his mom, yes, on his mother's side, they were from Poland, but on dad's side, they were Russian. Founded as a mutual aid society in 1901, it was known as the Independent Laborers Benefit Association. And the present building, 1924, when the congregation changed its name to Poil Zedek, which means doers of righteousness. I believe that it burned down part of it not that long ago, and now it is basically an apartment complex. But it's, I mean, I just love architecture, and I live for stained glass, so very beautiful. Now, we're not going to sit here and read all of this. This is from Penthouse Magazine, 1966, talking about Maurice Geordius. For anyone who wants to make the argument, even though Nick admitted it himself that his dad knew him. So his dad knew who he was, right? I've been naughty for years. Yeah, the dirty books that help to modernize literature. Lolita. 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 Classy. Now, in the book The Beat Hotel, one of the main forms of employment for impoverished Americans living on the left bank was writing pornography for Maurice Gerodius, Olympia Press, an English-language publishing house producing books that would have been illegal if published in the U.S. or Britain. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? Yeah? Not to me. Now, this name may sound familiar to you. Why? Because Valerie Solanas attempted to, assassinate Gerodius, and she approached none other than Operation Paperclip Paul Krasner for the money, and he gave it to her in the spring of 1968. Isn't there a lot of weird stuff going on in 1968? I just think it's kind of weird, right? A little bit weird, a little bit sus. Right here. This in the JFK archives. I mean, it's right there. Valerie Solanas, the would-be playwright who shot artist-filmmaker Andy Warhol. Oh, wait, no, shit. Sorry, guys, I got that wrong. I told you it's too late. My bad. She shot Andy Warhol. It was Maurice Gerodius. That was her friend who took her to court. My bad. But hey, look. I mean, Warhol was a freaking disgusting pervert, too. So this all tracks, right? My bad. Whatever. Anyways, that's what she's talking about here. Okay. So, let us continue. Now, this book, I'm not going to get into it too much. Main reason, Gary Lackman, or Gary Valentine, that nerd who thinks that he's an expert on all of this, he has a very interesting history here in regards to Gerodius and the roots of Gerodius and the La Synarchy. This is something that I'm going to come back to, okay? You notice how they're talking about Rudolf Hess, Rudolf Steiner, the Watchers, the Dunmar Synarchy group. Gerodius was also at the founding of the Synarchist order. And this all ends up going into the Thule Society. Okay? We're going to come back to this. Because this is just going to show perversion and Nazis. Okay? But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. So, his daddy knew Maurice. I'm just going to call him Maurice now since I keep mispronouncing his last name. From The History of Pornography, the chapter Changing Social Attitudes, the most prolific and certainly best-known publisher of English-language pornography today is a 43-year-old Parisian, Mr. Maurice. This book goes up to, I think, 1961 or 1962. Let's see what he has to say. To deprave and corrupt is my business, he says quite frankly, and according to him, it is by no means a financially unrewarding one, since he reckons that he corrupts about 600,000 people every year through Olympia's publications. At least he's being honest that that is what he is there to do. His only pleasure is legal conflict. Okay, must be nice, right? To just have money to piss away in the court. Now, this book, I threw it in here again. Come back to it at another time because I think that this stuff is a real deep cut and it's really fascinating. In regards to this whole Postel, Dumas, The Watchers, because Timothy Wiley, all of the other books that guy wrote, Mine Host, right? It's all about his watcher. It's all about his watcher, right? But a little highlight here. He joined the Theosophical Society in Paris. He was introduced to esoteric matters through his uncle. I don't know what his unc's name is. I wonder if it's Uncle Paul, right? But at least we're seeing a consistent theme, right? We're seeing a consistency here, historically speaking. And he himself was initiated into a synarchist order. Yeah? And over here, because we are absolutely going to be getting into the Abraxas Foundation and some very dark stuff, unfortunately. These Nazis, these spoopy Nazis that were into watchers and economic humanism and voluntary collectives, man. They were also making think tanks. This one was called Excrease, affiliated to the ubiquitous École Polytechnique, which studied possible solutions to the global economic crises caused by the Wall Street crash of 1929. This is all these synarchists getting together. And look, they're friends with Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley. See, the political group made up exclusively of polytechnicians and named Excrease. Yeah, this is, time is a flat circle a little bit, right? I just included this photo because, I don't know, I think it's faking gay. And this book is The Politics of Pornography. This is not my blue writing. Someone scanned this in with I'm assuming that they wrote it, but freedom must be total. When they mean total, they mean total. Okay? They mean kids. They mean animals. Okay? Unfortunately, we'll be getting into some of that, but there is a young Maurice. I included this. I think this is a 1966 issue of Playboy, the Playboy panel, Sex and Censorship in Literature and the Arts. Look at all these shakers and movers of pornography. Bunch of fucking nasty smut peddlers. Let's continue. I don't even care about that one. So, right here, this book, The New Morality, Concerted Attack. And again, what do we have? Hot take from Mr. Maurice. His philosophy is simple. Asked if pornography could not corrupt innocent youth, he replied, I'm all for the corruption of youth. Corruption is an essential part of education. Yeah? Okay. That's cute, right? Don't we love that? No. And over here, with the same sort of tomfoolery, yeah? About this time, too, he discovered a high purpose. I would have never launched into the next phase of my publishing career, he writes at this point, had I not acquired over the years the urge to attack the universal establishment. With all the means at my disposal. Do you mean the Grey Forces, sir? Do you mean the Grey Forces? Yeah. Now, for those of you that have been listening to the podcast, do you remember Lowell Pickett and Arlene Elster? This right here, the first International Festival of Erotic Cinema. Look who's a juror, Mr. Maurice. They are the people that put on this film festival. So do you see that the circles are starting to close in? Because they are. Now here's where it gets really dark. Carnal knowledge. Baxter's Concise Encyclopedia of Modern Sex. Over here. I'm going to butcher this person's name. Serge Abramovich Voronov, 1926 to 1951, surgeon, biologist, and medical experimenter. As director of the Laboratoire de Chirurgie Expérimentale at the Collège de France, Russian-born Voronov became famous for transplanting the organs of primates into human beings as an aid to rejuvenation. Okay, well, even when the medical world largely rejected Voronov's theories, doctors continued to apply them. Maurice Gerodius credited a course of monkey gland injections with his decision to found the erotic Olympia Press. Voronov himself died from syphilis, supposedly contracted from one of his own transplants. During the 1990s, there was speculation that his experiments might have been instrumental in importing the AIDS virus from primates into humans. Isn't that lovely? And we continue. Dope Menace, the sensational world of drug paperbacks, because apparently there's a thing for porn and like sex, which is, or drugs, like porn and drugs, which is gross. Like, I don't really get this, but whatever. But it is discussing this book, The Devil's Brand, The Devil's Brand of a little bit of hallucinogens. Specifically, though, this book that he ends up publishing, the author, under the influence of LSD, a Hindu temple of sexual worship, I'm not going to try to pronounce those, where a pageant of the Eastern gods unfolds. And they dance and copulate, and it's a den of iniquity and all of that. But down here, Maurice insisted that the character's age be up to 21 for reasons that remain unclear. But perhaps the idea of a ripe underage hippie girl gorging on sex and drugs was too legally provocative for Gerodius to risk. Classy. Classy. And now we arrive back at Barry. Hey, Barry. How you doing, bud? We're gonna let this sit for a minute. How you doing, bud? Huh? How you feeling? How you feeling, Barry? Yeah? How you feeling, Barry? Let me move this a little bit. Let's see if we can zoom in. Oh, no. Whoops. There we go. Let's see if that'll work. Maybe. Nope. Well, there we go. Maybe I'll try to make myself a little smaller. Oh, there you go. Makes me a little bit bigger. Ooh, you know what? Let me see if I can put on this space background that I found earlier. Is it going to work? I don't think it's going to work. Oh, look at that. Woo. We're flying through space. Isn't that cool? I'm such a nerd. The things that get me hype. Barry, we're going on an adventure. We're traveling through time. Barry, you had really nice hair. You had great hair. But I, blew up that little quote from Liar Liar, the unauthorized biography of Nicholas and Zena Shrek, Barry Dobin, Beverly Hills High, 1977. Yeah. So, Barry with the good hair, because your hair wasn't bad. You're still, anyways, I'm not going to say anything. All right, let's stop this moving thing, because I feel like it's going to make me dizzy. I'm going to take a break for 5 seconds. Oh, you know what? I'll leave it. Let's get rid of Barry, though, huh? All right, cool. Thank you. Hold on. I'll show you guys. I was messing with this earlier. I shouldn't be doing any of this. Oh, look, yeah, I could do this too. Look, I have a little banner thing. I was nerding around on this earlier. I've been really sick, guys. Don't judge me. Let me see. Let's do this while I take a break. Is it not going to let me do the size? It's not. Oh, I had to do it before. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, look. Ooh. Ooh. Gonna take a breather. Wet my whistle. Wet yours. You get a smoke and a pancake, please? For Christ. Oh. Can you guys see it? I don't know if you guys can see it on your end. I was having a fun time with this earlier. I was like, wow, like traveling through space. Isn't that fun? It's way past my bedtime. It's way past my bedtime. I should be in bed. You are very welcome, Tara Jackson. I'm glad that it's making you laugh. It's still gonna get real dark, trust me. Haven't even gotten close to the dark stuff yet. That's why I'm taking a break for a minute. Yeah? I do like this background, though. I'm like, this is pretty snazzy. I'm not a space nerd, but I'm not mad at it. Thanks for sticking it out, guys. I'm not getting into the Thieves stuff today. I don't care what Nick says. He jacked my stuff. You don't announce something less than 24 hours later. You wait. I mean, Jesus. It's like, whatever. Freaking. Anyways. Oh, I do have it. I have the old magazine where they call him Barry Dubin. Alright, cool. Yeah, it's like I'm Superman flying. I don't want to mirror the background. I don't want to do all that. I don't want a green screen. The green screen freaks me out. Hello, Zach Boss. Welcome. Hello, Margaret. Yeah, I don't like the green screen thing. Oh, thank you. Oh, I got a drink delivery, guys. I'm on vacation and I'm living large and in charge. It's the crispy, freshest, zero sugar fruit splash. Shit, so crispy. It's rejuvenating my soul. I love this drink so much. I don't know why. It's so freaking good. Yeah, it's effervescent. Yeah, I like the bubbles. I love me the bubbles. All right, let's stop all this madness because this is just a bit much. Hold, please. All right. Let's go back to this and let's get back to normal. Okay, so now we gotta go into. It adds a lot. What, the background? I don't want to do all that. I feel like it's distracting. If you guys like it, I'll do it. I'll leave it running. If you guys like it, let me know. I'll keep it up. I'll bust that thing out. Well, I might not do it this time because I want to get through all of this, but let's see. How do I want to do this? All right. Let's continue. We're going to show it one more time. Barry. That's what I'm going to call you from now on. Barry. All right. So, Barry boy. Thank you, Francisco Jimenez. I thought it was distracting too. I'm not doing the green screen. You guys cannot convince me of the green screen. I'm sorry. I appreciate your input. I feel like it's distracting. Do you guys want me to put a vote in the community section? I think it fits the subject too. Like I'm taking our friend Barry with the good hair through outer space on a ride that he didn't ask for. You know what I mean? But 1 second, and we're gonna get this next thing loaded up. Enjoy the photo of Barry. All right, let's get into the next. Here we go. This is where I found it. So, A Taste from the Cauldron, 1994. We're not going to read all of this, but if you zoom in here, this is pretty old, right? I must admit to never having any personal contact with their figureheads, Zena and Nick. Their song, Walpurgisnacht, is more than an anthem hailing our most glorious Sabbat, quelled only by our Samhain New Year's Sabbat, but a tribute to Adolf Hitler. His very life ended that day. Though confusing as it is, according to the Church of Satan Magister Peter Gilmore and the Church of Satanic Liberation's Paul Valentine, Nicholas Shrek is actually a Jew, ethnically, not religiously, by the name of Barry Dobin. Dobin! The Dobin misinformation game has been going on since 1994 until now. So, And I mean, other people may have found this. I have no idea. I'm not claiming to, be blowing anybody's minds. But according to Peter Gilmore in a recent telephone conversation, I was distressed to be told that Xena and Nicholas have engaged themselves in fag-bashing violence against homosexuals, something completely anti-satanic by my standards, as well as Xena's unfather's written material. Though I truthfully question his real beliefs about homosexuality due to something he said to me, but that's another story. Anyway, Peter told me that Nicholas actually lost one of his ears during this one such scuffle. Oops, I guess that the pansy was underestimated. Yet again, I don't have first knowledge about this either. So, let us continue. This is just the rest of the article, that way you can see it, right? Radio Werewolf, because they're so edgy. They're so edgy and nutsy, yeah? You know what this always reminds me of? That movie, what is it? It's got Adam Sandler in it. And Hitler's in hell wearing a maid suit with a pineapple. That's what it reminds me of. I don't know why. Now, I wanted to include this photo because I found it, because this dude is disgusting, and I feel no shame in anything that I am bringing forward. The truth is just the truth. Yeah? What's up with the veneration of all these nasty-ass, quote-unquote serial killers? I wouldn't even call Charles Manson a serial killer at all. I think he was a con man. But, really, bro? I don't care what excuses you make for having it. So, right here, Manson film. Basically a joke. Little Nicky, thank you guys. Simi Valley Star, September 28th, 1987. Right here. And here's with the Watson Kasabian BS. Tex Watson is the only one that should be in jail, actually. Let's see how that story holds now that you're changing your story decades later, Nick. But right here, discussing the Manson file to be published in Mark by Amok Press. But down here, on August 8th, Ice, Nell, and Shrek attended a party in Hollywood for the 18th anniversary of the Tate murders. We had dinner where some of the victims ate the night they were killed, Ice Nell said. Then we went to the Tate house gate at midnight. Most people think if you're into Manson, you have to be a psychotic murderer. People say that's so sick, but then they read about it for the next half hour. Says the guy that has Manson's hair in a frame and his ashes around his neck. Right, okay. Now over here, LA Weekly, 1990, Walpurgis Rally, April 28th, limited seating up to 666. Nick, that would require talent to get 666 people to come to your show. Yeah? Okay. So, now this article, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but very funny little anecdotes in here. So, this is The Rocket, November 1st, 1988, a look at Satan amid the postmodern noise of an industrial world. Apparently, the research team doesn't find Satanism as disturbingly unhip as Nazism and Mansonism, because when I asked about Anton LaVey, Juno gave me a box number I could write but declined to introduce me. She announced rather proudly that he was a personal friend whose privacy they respected, and added they'd collected over 80 hours of taped conversations for an upcoming special issue of their magazine. I decided to try going through Nicholas Shrek, whose number I'd already gotten from the publisher of the Manson file, a collection of revisionist apocrypha and obtuse utterances from Charlie he edited for Amok Press. After leaving a half a dozen messages on his Wagnerian answering machine, I finally got through to him 2 days later. Juno mentioned Shrek's ear had been sliced off by a gang of gay leather boys who caught him passing out pro-AIDS leaflets in LA, so I didn't have any trouble recognizing Shrek. Cuts quite a figure in his black on black, rune emblazoned Embraxis Foundation uniform and brass swagger stick. He's a bottle blonde who also sculpts in a receding Christopher Lee hairline after he shaves his face. The effect was completed by the Church of Satan pin he sports in the absence of an ear to hang any more arcane insignias from. Beatnik legend Gregory Corso took one look at us and immediately, oh, I can't read this, it's so old, and immediately careened over to ask, "Hey, are you two fags?" From the look that crossed Shrek's face, it was obvious. If the poorly aging poet had had any teeth left, he would have lost them on the spot. I think it's hilarious. Don't get me wrong, I don't view Corso as a beatnik legend, but, someone making fun of Nick way back then, yeah, I think that's pretty funny. So, that's that. There's another story of how Nick lost his ear. And then right here. This is the Arizona Republic, May 19th, 1990. Not going to read this whole thing, but this is not the only place that you will find this information. Apparently, Zeno was running around telling people this at one point, that Nicholas Shrek was a former member of the Manson family. Now, people may say, Dana, how is that possible? Manson was already in jail. What did that matter? The family was still operating, and they were real tight with the Aryan Brotherhood. So I think that it's kind of interesting. Food for thought, grounds for further research, as the old saying goes. Yeah. And let's see here. So this book, Blood and Faith, Christianity and American White Nationalism by Damon T. Berry. Right here. In discussing his book, The Manson File, Shrek described this book as a revisionist history. You notice how he admits that it's a revisionist history, which means it's revised in his image of Charlie. The Watson Kasabian murders? Kiss my rear end. Of Charles Manson as a creator of a white colony akin to National Socialism. For him, Manson served as a teacher of esoteric wisdom that defied the Judeo-Christian weakness Shrek saw engulfing the Western world. The last time I talked about the Neo process, I think I played the audio of Nicholas Shrek talking about this stuff, right? Where he talks about engaging in social engineering through music. Yeah. And all of this avant-garde, left-hand esotericism. Because Nick thinks that he's smarter than you, and I can assure you that he's not. But, here talking about Radio Werewolf, conducting cultural war on every front. Oh, that's unfortunate. Now, this book, its accuracies and inaccuracies, it's obviously biased. Xena LaVey, The Fallen Daughter, I think it's very, very, very interesting. Obviously, Xena was a very attractive woman back in the day. I still think that she's a Tatiana for the devil. But there are a lot of details in here about Nick's lies and what a loser Nick was. And how he was globbing on, trying to be cool. You like to use that word, Nick, don't you? Globbing? Yeah, I remember that. Shrek was trying to establish credentials as an extremist, as someone on equal footing with these people. He began making up for his lack of accomplishments by fabricating impressive projects he had done. He began telling elaborate lies. He said he traveled to Europe and produced a documentary on the life and work of Aleister Crowley. Those he told naturally assumed it to be true. After all, they each made their living from doing such things. When they expressed interest in taking a look at this film sometime, they were told that, unfortunately, the only print available was in storage and that locating it would be extremely difficult. Oh, isn't that the same thing that he pulled not that long ago about his book, except for he ended up actually making the book? Interesting, right? Let's see, he also claimed to have written a book regarding Nazi holy sites, which he supposedly researched by visiting each. The book was also purported to contain info on the Nazi holy days. Of course, the project never appeared. It was always in some sort of box that could not be found at the moment. Over a period of some months, a pattern evolved, and suspicions were aroused as it began to seem as though every tangible manifestation of Shrek's varied accomplishments were either in storage or someplace else where they couldn't be obtained or seen easily. However, the one true shining example is Shrek's achievement with Radio Werewolf, which is a very exotic project. I really don't give a shit about Radio Werewolf. I think he looks like a Interview with a Vampire with terrible makeup. And right here, talking about him wanting to be a member of the priesthood of the Church of Satan. So Shrek went to the friend who'd introduced him to LaVey and pitched the idea that the two mutiny, trash LaVey, and start a new organization, the Werewolf Order. LaVey is the past, said Shrek. We are the future. The friend was appalled at the suggestion, saying that LaVey had devoted his life to what he believed in and had put his ass on the line by voicing some very unpopular ideas at the time when no one else had the balls to say such things in public. LaVey was a purist, and purity was never passé. Shrek smiled as though nothing untoward him happened, saying, It was just a thought. Although Shrek didn't quit, he bided his time, thinking that perhaps the priesthood might still come his way. But it never did, even after he dated Xena. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. And here, discussing her time as a high priestess with Nick, and the very strange, and in my opinion, it is very strange, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, in more than one place. Their slamming of Anton LaVey. I'm not saying the guy wasn't a con man, but it seemed like a coordinated attack, and I'm not siding with Michael Aquino, but it seems convenient because Nicholas is now doing the same to Aquino and trying to spin it in the exact same way. This was an interview that was done 9 months ago. I found a video on YouTube where he's doing the exact same thing that Aquino did to LaVey, almost as if they're trying to rewrite history. Yeah. Over here, talking about the wax museum that we discussed earlier, right? She blamed him for the fact that the business was dead in the water. He was a failure, a fuck up. It was always the same with this guy. Shrek, for his part, put the blame on the public, as the Nazis do. They weren't hip enough to see how cool Hell House was. It was the best thing ever, and if it was failing, it was due to the fact that it was an idea too far ahead of his time. Which, in my opinion, it was. Tensions increased as Shrek bounced checks with suppliers all over town. He was trying to save his place with new merchandise the public might actually want. He got on credit by kiting checks. Soon creditors were showing up at the store, demanding to be paid. But there was no money with which to pay them, and soon checks to employees began to bounce as well. Nicholas and Xena's dream was crumbling around them, fast becoming a walking nightmare. And apparently Shrek began to put the moves on a female employee. He fired her when she did not reciprocate. Well, who knows? It says that there's no real evidence that, Shrek harassed her. It says that, who knows? I could see why people would not want to fight these people. You know what I mean? But what do I know? I'm not the arbiter of truth. I am showing you countless sources for you to choose for yourself. The Gods of the Blood, The Pagan Revival, and White Separatism by Matthias Gardell. We're not going to read through this whole thing. However, what was I just talking about? As noted by Jack Bull, where Aquino has gone out of his way to make public court documents that reflect negatively on LaVey's personal life, including restraining orders, divorce proceedings, and LaVey's bankruptcy filing. To this end, Aquino welcomed LaVey's daughter and her husband, Nicholas Shrek, who also directed much energy to discredit LaVey as a charlatan. Yeah, indeed. Indeed they do. You notice how nobody wants to bust out Michael Aquino's court records, though? It stings. Now, as some of you may know or may not know, Nicholas and Xena visited Richard Ramirez. Yeah. and that the church was supporting them. Richard Ramirez held LaVey in high esteem, and Zena's visit made him feel the forces of darkness were being marshaled behind him. They liked to deny this, but they did, more than once. Zena and Nick returned with 5 other members of the Church of Satan to provide support during the trial. And apparently Zena was making some very, I don't know, you could say naughty or risque looks at him. And according to this book, which is the authority on Richard Ramirez, at least one of them, apparently Zena went and visited Mr. Ramirez himself, by herself, which he was just jerking off every single time. Literally. I'm not kidding. They would also let people bring in sex toys to see Richard Ramirez. So, I don't really know what to tell people. LA is incredibly corrupt. Now, from the Encyclopedia of Modern Witchcraft and Neo-Paganism. Because the whole it's satanic panic, there's Satanists. Okay. That's the propaganda line. It's neo-paganism, right? But little Miss Zena at least provides some interesting insight here. So let's go ahead and see what she has to say. Because obviously, left-hand path, right? To which Temple of Set members practice. So her and Nick claim to have left the Temple of Set how long ago? But they're still practicing and teaching the same shit, right? But Zena Shrek, daughter of Anton LaVey, explains this trend within the TOS. I would say that overall, we are shedding the use of that term. In a nutshell, modern-day Satanist is basically an atheist with some rudimentary social Darwinist ideas and a mild flair for the macabre. Social Darwinism is a really fancy term for Nazism, eugenics, racial purity, racial cleansing, ethnic cleansing. Zena thinks that you're fucking stupid, and there's proof of it. However, they have no spiritual ideas. On the other hand, the Setian does feel a bond with the Netzer Set and that deity's equivalents in other cultural pantheons. That being said, Satan is at least one equivalent of the energy known as Set, as is Loki, Prometheus, and Typhon, to name a few. Therefore, we have no revulsion at the thought of being considered Satanist. It's simply very limiting on a number of levels. Well, depends who you're talking to, Xena, because I'm smarter than what you would assume, right? And here, the left-hand path is typified by the Temple of Set as the following qualities and actions. Black magic. Okay? It's a thing. It's real. Satanic crime doesn't exist. I don't care if you want to call it neo-Gnostic pagan crime. Doesn't really roll off the tongue as well, does it? I don't care what you call it. People kill in the name of all kinds of stupid stuff, including murdering people for less than $1. So get real. Let's continue. And here, an older publication, but for those of you that know me very well, I have some unpopular takes about feminism. The Satanic Witch, Anton Zandor LaVey, introduction by Zena LaVey. So, the opening. Women, as in every critical time in our history, are at the forefront of the cultural storm now breaking. The woman who grasps and fully understands the mastery of the world inherent in this book's satanic teachings will usher in a true feminism. The liberation of the demonic in every woman. Xena, I would just say that that's feminism in general. Hot take, let's continue. Okay, now here's where shit's gonna get really dark. So, I'm going to, let's make this bigger. Hey, there we go. I'm going to wet my whistle because now we're going to get into some really nasty stuff. Nasty stuff. So if you're still here and you feel emotionally or psychologically worn out, if you look as tired as me, go ahead and come back and watch it on the replay. Because it gets gross. It gets real gross. I would ask everyone, including the Nick simps who have been giving me a really hard time the past couple of days, either admit that you're in the cult of personality and you don't care about the truth, you just want a fanboy for Nick because you think he's like so cool and so edgy, right? And he's like telling the truth. It was drugs. Except for now, it's got this porn angle, and it's just, Nick, do you not see how pathetic that is? It's so pathetic that you that you checked my stuff. It's ridiculous. The things that I'm going to show you, this is who they are. This is who they are. They try to rewrite history. Why do you think that Barry Dobin has not existed on paper for decades? Took one letter to throw people off of the trail for decades? It's a lot of hard work. A lot of thinking ahead. So I would keep that in mind when we get into what we're going to get into. Because as I said, Echo Cat and Parker, my OGs, Demon Fighters Anonymous, coming at you hot. I know that Parker is working on something herself, and it'll be a bit of a her own research on things. Teamwork makes the dream work. But we are here to correct the record. Fuck this rewriting of history. Fuck this rewriting about Charles Manson. You guys make me sick. The idolization of Charles Manson, the Nazism, I will never understand. And I think, honestly, that it's really sad, Nick, that you are such a self-loathing Jew. That you became a Nazi. You shouldn't be ashamed of your heritage. I don't understand Nazism. I don't understand why people are ashamed of their heritage. I'm American Indian and German. You can't control who your parents are or their parents or where they come from. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But he's not the only, self-loather, because Adam Parfrey is too. Seems like there's a trend within this group, the Abraxas group, the Abraxas clique. Seems like quite a few self-loathing, self-hating Jews who decided to become Nazis. I feel bad for your parents a little bit. I think your dad was kind of a sex perv. Maybe your mom. That's just based off of the information that I found. But, the man served in war. He did get a Purple Heart. I respect veterans. I'm just saying, it's a real shame. So, and you didn't have anything bad to say about your parents, so I'm not going to assume that they were bad parents to you. You actually spoke quite highly of them. Just a lot of, I don't know. Like I said, a self-hating Jew who becomes a Nazi and tries to hide his past with a misspelling by one letter of the last name is really beyond me. But let's get into the nightmare stuff. Not being ashamed is, well, like the cat, yeah. It's just like, I don't think anybody should be ashamed. I don't understand, I'm just going to tell you guys this. It's totally irrelevant. It's just me. I don't understand, Nazi ideology. I don't understand having such a hatred for people. And it's, Nazi is such an overused term. Zionist, I'm waiting for, the Zionist phase. It's just, It's so much hatred and negativity. And I'm sorry, do you really think that you're genetically superior to anybody? Xena? Nick? Boyd? We would ask Parfrey, but he's dead, right? So let's go ahead and let's get into it. Like I said, this is pretty dark, but whatever. We're going to do what we got to do. Let's make that bigger. Okay, cool. So this is a very old magazine called The Hit List. This was out in the 90s, right? So, right here. The Abraxas Axis. Michael Moynihan is an interesting fellow. Some argue that he is actually three people: Michael Jenkins, Michael Moynihan Jenkins, and Michael Jenkins Moynihan. Don't you love the name game? Since all three monikers have graced his projects. In 1989, the youthful Bostonian joined forces with the San Francisco based Abraxas Foundation, which he described as an occultist fascist think tank linked to the Church of Satan. Indeed, Moynihan dubbed his own wing of the Abraxas Foundation Axis Sanguinaries, or Blood Axis, because blood can be seen as life, and at the same time it can be equated to death. It is essential to violence in almost all instances. It has powerful sexual connotations. It is the key fluid of history. Axis highlights the genetic aspect of blood, bound together in the will of a people or race. It describes allies of mind and blood, mobilized for total warfare. It also reiterates the pivotal nature of blood in human existence, both personal and world historic. According to some reports, Moynihan's blood fetish includes drinking non-AIDS infected blood. He was also suspected of setting fire to a manger scene on the Cambridge Commons just across from Harvard University in 1987. A note left by the firebug at the smoky scene the day after Christmas asked, "How many more fires before you realize your gods are dead?" Dead. As for the Abraxas Foundation, it was founded by another blood fetishist named Boyd Rice in 1984. The name came from Abraxas, a Gnostic deity that combined within itself the forces of darkness and light, good and evil. Doesn't that sound like the process? The unification of opposites, as Dougie would like to say Lucian, yeah. Alright, so Rice hoped that his foundation would help create a new demographic of people who were into the occult, fascism, and there's that word again, social Darwinism. It's out there as an alternative for kids who are growing up and need that information. I think you guys should not be allowed around children. Both Rice and Moynihan came out of the industrial music scene. Rice, who calls his musical project Non, released his first self-produced noise music Black album in the late 70s. And then they start talking about throbbing gristle. Okay, because then this brings in Genesis Peerage. Gag me with a pitchfork. But I'll just let you guys see, right? Like, these guys go back. Yeah, these guys go back. I didn't know that Genesis Peerage's name was Neil Mexon. I'll be coming back to that, and I'm sure a bunch of people are like, Dana, you should have known. But whatever. Anyway, so, right here. Free Charlie. Although Michael Moynihan is clearly associated with the far right, his own views about the events in the black metal underground in Norway do not simply mirror those of Varg Vikernes. Although Vikern plays a central role in Lords of Chaos, Moynihan may not even approve of the Count's decision to kill Euronius. By murdering the Prince of Death, Vikernes in fact effectively ended a bizarre de facto alliance between the ultra-leftist Euronymous and someone like himself. Moynihan, however, appears to advocate an alliance between the extremes against the middle. And this is where we get into, again, the reconciliation of opposites and taking out the bourgeois, even though one could argue that Nick's family is literally part of the bourgeois, as well as Adam Parfrey. Hollywood, baby, right? And here, talking about the Atwa, right? Squeaky and Linda in their bizarre radical ecology group. Okay. Okay. And Boyd Rice, who was banned from seeing Manson after prison officials found a single bullet in his pocket during one visit. But he did actually go quite a bit. And Manson's motives for helping groups like the Weather Underground seems clear. Oh, remember how pissy people got with me about the Weather Underground stuff? Yeah, go back and listen to that podcast episode. I think I did a pretty damn good job. All right, so this again, just kind of continuing through. Don't really care, but over here, I do think that the history of this stuff, this is just so you guys can see me nerding out, right? In regards to other countries that are obviously doing this first, because no, these people are not intellectual and they are not unique. So this was in Bavaria. La Desintegración del Sistema, the disintegration of the system. Freda argued that the nervous system of the bourgeois world had to be disrupted with utmost violence by far-right political soldiers working in an alliance with the far left. None of their stuff is original, guys. And right here, let's see. What else do we got? Oh yeah, these are some names that we've talked about before when we talked about the Neo process in regards to George Petros. But talking about Adam Parfrey, owner of Amok and later Feral House, entering the scene in 1980 with Idea, a Southern California-based research-type journal about punk culture, and then moving to New York and teaming up with George Petros, right? George Petros is a freaking creep, and then Robert N. Taylor, a former paramilitary Minuteman leader turned racial Odinist. We've talked about a lot of these people, guys. A lot of these people. And again, over here, talking about Rice being in the Church of Satan's Council of Nine. Ooh, it's so spoopy. And then, Rice regularly visiting Manson and even campaigned to get him released from jail through an Abraxas spinoff called the Friends of Justice. Isn't that thoughtful? I think that that's so thoughtful. Can you hear the sarcasm in my voice? Yeah. Now, here's where it's going to get a little darker. Okay. Now, this is a other country, right? However, it is still the Abraxas Foundation. So, this is from Searchlight, April 1998, Occult Fascist Axis. Okay, not going to read the whole thing, but the Black Order from New Zealand and the American Blood Axis. Isn't that what we talked about? Who was it? Was it Boyd Rice or was it excuse my French, Moynihan, right? Both advertise Myatt's National Socialist series alongside ONA material. Leading the Abraxas Foundation is James Martin, who recently courted controversy within the Satanist community where he wrote an article in a pedophile magazine. His supporters have defended him by claiming that an interest in these magazines does not necessarily make him a pedophile. There is a lot of history of connection with ONA and the Abraxas Foundation, therefore connection with the Church of Satan, the Temple of Set, and I would say the process, as well as all these Mansonite people, right? But right here, this is a book called Prachaos by Phil Hine. This was published in 2008. And here is Mr. James Martin of Abraxas Magazine, because he is the editor for the Abraxas Magazine, right? Now, I found this really old letter. I think that this guy is heading operations in the UK. Okay, so this is from August 5th, 1992. Who knew that the ONA and the Temple of Set were having such little beefy beefs way back then? The ONA was proscribed to Setians by the high priest approximately 5 years ago, and on his direct instructions, we do not retain within the temple anyone who affiliates it. The reasons: the ONA published rituals purporting to be satanic, which prescribe human sacrifice. Human sacrifice is unacceptable to the Temple of Set. Now, I would disagree, but and then here the ONA takes this name and elements of its imagery from the Ceremony of the Nine Angles, authored by Dr. Aquino for the Satanic Rituals in 1971. The ONA denies this appropriation and declines to ask our permission for such use, and this is unacceptable to the Temple of Set. But let's talk about this James Martin guy, right? So, right here, the OTB and its magazine Abraxas are run by one James Martin. Martin was formerly a Setian at the Temple of Set nearly 5 or 6 years ago. A copy of a magazine called Ganymede was sent to the high priest by the proprietor, one Stephen J. Waters, the reason being that Martin had written an article for the same. Ganymede has a reputation in the UK for promoting pederasty and pedophilia. The article was also along those lines. The priesthood were asked to interview James Martin, which was accordingly done. Assurances were given by Martin that he had no inclinations towards pedophilia, but shortly after the interview resigned from the temple. Martin wrote to Waters claiming he had been expelled for being gay. Shortly thereafter, Abraxas appeared openly supporting pedophilia and pederasty, duly complimenting Ganymede. Yeah? What do you think about that, Satanist? Do people still believe the Satanists are the only group in the entire world that are not prone to abusing children? Because that's what they want you to believe. It's every single other religion on this fucking planet except for them. Just some food for thought as we continue. Because this is my big gripe with it. Now, we're getting there, guys. We've got 15 more slides to go. Hang with me. So, modern Satanism, Anatomy of a Radical Subculture. Cannot recommend this book enough. It is very fruitful, and it breaks down some stuff we've gone over before in the past. Some of this stuff we've already read. However, there's a very interesting note here in the beginning that I have not seen anywhere else. I'm going to assume it's true, since Nicholas Shrek was originally written as the editor. So, obviously, Adam Parfrey, Nicholas Shrek, Michael Moynihan, Boyd Rice in conjunction with Xena. These figures played an important role in further radicalizing Satanism with their shared obsessions. The idolization of Charles Manson, the notion of the decline of Western culture, collaboration with the far right, and an increasingly heavy emphasis on radical social Darwinism. Yeah. Obviously, Oswald Spengler, necrophilia, self-castration, these are some of Parfrey's early topics, right? Now, the following year, he compiled the Manson File, an unabashedly pro-Manson collection of the killer's writings presented as the authentic voice of a counterculture icon. He eventually set up the independent publisher Feral House and specialized in works on serial killers, conspiracy theories, and Satanism, including all 5 of LaVey's books. Parfrey was unwilling to publish the Manson File in his own name, and enlisted Manson advocate Nicholas Shrek to put his name to it as editor. Has anybody else heard that Adam Parfrey is the one who wrote the Manson File originally? Because this makes sense to me. And it makes sense why he wouldn't put his name on it, since he is the process publishing house, posthumously, as it were, today. This is the only time that I've seen this anywhere, but I think it's very interesting to consider. It's very interesting to consider. And over here, obviously talking about Mr. Neo-Nazi James Mason. We've talked about him before. Yeah, he also contributed to the Manson File. Classy. We've talked about the Universal Order, all of that crap. And again, right here, The Abraxas Foundation, a social Darwinist think tank with revisionist historian and Holocaust denier Keith Steinley, who later worked for Parfrey. Abraxas members also included Shrek and Moynihan. Rice is blunt in the reasons for his support of the theory. Social Darwinism is simply the idea that the Darwinian concept of survival of the fittest applies to man. It's the idea that within a culture, superior individuals will rise to the top, and inferior individuals will sink to the bottom as a part of natural selection. It isn't related to fascism, Nazism, or racism. It's just the way of the world. Okay, that's why you guys were dressing like Nazis in that schizo clip, right? Okay, whatever you say. Now, right here, again, discussing the 8888 rally. Yeah. So, apparently, according to them, it was a recapitulation of a destruction ritual that Anton LaVey performed on August 8th, 1969. There is some very strange insinuation here that LaVey had something to do with the Cielo Drive murders. Is that true or not? Don't really know. But obviously, as Rice introduced it, the event was a sacred day. We mourn not its victims, we honor its victors. I would remind those here that murder is the predator's prerogative, and there is no birth without blood. Something that Manson liked to say too, yeah. And I think that's all we have here. Let's see. Oh yeah, they do talk about it a little bit here. You know, a lot of them are. They do have Jewish backgrounds. I don't know why they're self-loathing. It's quite strange, but let's go ahead right here. So, the discussion of the merits of Charles Manson and the family's 1969 murders, with Moynihan, Rice, and especially Mason praising the incarcerated killer as a visionary who had seen through the corruption of modern society. The mother of Sharon Tate, also involved, is berated and repeatedly told that her daughter deserved to die because of her association with so-called Jewish Hollywood. Nick, your dad was Jewish and went to Hollywood. So were you. Did you tell your friends that? I'm just wondering. Can we get that on record, bud? Barry? Yeah. Can we get that on record, Barry? Because according to this theology, you would deserve to have something terrible happen to you. I disagree. But this book really highlights the reverence for Charles Manson. And right here, March 2005, this discusses that Nick has a framed lock of Charlie's hair somewhere in his house. He says they're weak and they buy into people like Manson because they have a little charisma and a lot of attention paid to them. Yeah. I would agree. I think that Nick is a fucking loser. Excuse my French. And here is Xena and Adam Parfrey and Boyd Rice at said event 8888. So young, so youthful, so Naziistic, right? And obviously, the notorious process church, the satanic panic, God forbid Ed Sanders and Maury Terry just come along and ruin everything. An excerpt from The Ultimate Evil reads, before the process divided, it spread seeds of destruction throughout the United States. Those spores were carried on winds of evil across the 1970s and into the present. The terror still reigns with far-flung subsidiary groups united by the sins of their father. Oh, Maury, you weren't wrong. And in dissecting Marilyn Manson, just some reiteration. The Sharon Tate murder was a symbolic representation of the end of an entire way of thought, of compassion for the weak, peace for its own sake, pacifism that breeds stagnation. That entire way of thinking was destroyed on August 8, 1969, and that is why we chose this evening to perform a ritual of cleansing and purification, according to Nicholas Shrek. Yeah, and there's the Atwa, air, trees, water, and animals. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? And right here, again, from the Marilyn Manson book, in regards to the Abraxas Foundation, the occult fascist think tank, the unification and transcendence of opposites. The unification of opposites. Somebody called Doug, right? Yeah. Because if anybody thinks that we're not going to eventually be talking about Johnny Depp, Marilyn Manson, and the West Memphis Three, you're on drugs. Continuing. Now, this eventually we'll come back to at another time. I would highly recommend this book, Dreamer of the Day by Kevin Coogan, Francis Parker Yockey, and the Post-War Fascist International. It's fascinating. I love it. I love it. It's a great book. But in discussing the Abraxas Foundation, there seems to be a very strange trend of a lot of these individuals dying of AIDS. Now, we read that they were drinking AIDS-free blood, non-AIDS blood. How much bloodletting is involved in determining how safe that blood is? Yeah. And if you didn't get it that way, then did you get it from the sex rituals? Just curious, yeah. But apparently that Amok Press actually just turned into Feral House. So I think the argument about Parfrey actually writing the Manson file and just asking Nick to put his name on it tracks. Since apparently there's a lot of mafia stuff that has just been straight lifted from other people. But here we go. More people dying from AIDS. Very sad, very sad. But Parfrey also published Joseph Goebbels' novel, Michael. Goebel wrote the novel in 1923 when he was a follower of the left Strasser wing of the NSDAP. Michael is in part a call to revolutionaries of the left and right to overcome their differences and overthrow the hated bourgeois order. Gay? This is all gay. Anyways, this is from, I don't even care about this. I'm not going to read it. This is from Aquino's archives where he's talking about Nicholas Shrek joining in. Okay? Like, oh, we're going to take down, I'm Dr. Obsessimus Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, and we're going to take down Anton LaVey. This is Nicholas Shrek. No. Now, right here. So Nicholas Shrek posted this on his Instagram. He's out here flexing for the gram, getting a little bit old for that, honey. But right here, he details his mentor of many decades, Dr. Stefan A. Holler, a Gnostic bishop who was consecrated by Richard Duc de Palatine of the Ecclesia Gnostica. And this is very interesting. And eventually I will be coming back to this because I think all of this is fascinating. But it is worth noting just how old that picture is, yeah? And there's little Miss Tatiana for the devil herself, Xena, right? So, who is this guy? Well, they were published in the Lucius magazine way back in the day, 1962. Oh, look, there's our Duc de Palatine and Stefan A. Holler, right? The pre-Nicene publishing. And right here, the Brotherhood and Order of the Pleroma, the arcane discipline of illumination. So, this is our boy over here, Richard Duc de Palatine, who had served in the liberal Catholic Church in Australia before moving to England. His first organization was called the Brotherhood of the Illuminati. Illuminati approved, right? What a joke. What a joke. But yeah, so I would say that Nick is probably a wandering bishop, but this is his guide. This is who trained him. Yeah. He was studying for the Roman priesthood and was enrolled at the Pontifical Gregorian University in Vatican City. Yeah. But this guy, he is super serial. He has the Crotona Institute School of Theosophy, and then the Brotherhood and Order of the Pleroma. Obviously, I think that this dude is contributing to the dialectic, one might say, expansion of consciousness with and without LSD. Come and find the best means to expand your consciousness. It may or may not involve drinking blood, right? A lot of weird symbolism going on here. I think this is a little bit busy. Crotona Institute School of Theosophy. Pick a design and stick with it. Yeah? And then there he is. There's super serial, right? But up here, look at that face. He's dead ass serious. And this reminds me of young photos of Barry. Super serial, right? But there he is talking about moon voyages. And here he is a little bit later. I don't think that that's a wig, so I'm not going to be unfair and assume. I do believe that that is the last part of the slide. And I don't know if I have it in me. God, I've been going for a long time. Fudge! Hold on. There's one more thing I want to show you. Because someone said something about the OTO. And it's like, I'll just show you the freaking thing that I downloaded for this group that they were in. And I don't know how accurate it is, and I don't even care. These documents are so old, I'll come back to it at another time. I just, grabbed it for what I had for now. Let me see. Let's just pull it up. I had a couple of... Uh-oh, I can't see anything. It's getting late. It's getting very late. Whatever, some people are just going to have to come back and, watch the replay. Whatever. Let's see. I have... Because I had a couple more things I wanted to get through, dang it. Okay, let's go through this real quick. Alright, so... I got all these off of Instagram. Outlaw. So that lady right there, that's the one that ends up getting with Vincent Gallo, right? Look at how happy Charlie is. They're just out here trying to save the animals. Sounds like best friends, right? And here these two nerds are. Oh, we went to the CLO gate. Oh, we're going again. Fucking losers. I'm sorry. I have no respect for this guy at all. No patience either. There she is again. Lady that ends up getting with Vincent Gallo. Instagram's full of good stuff. There he is again. Nicky boy. And for those of you that are familiar with this actor, he was on Nip Tuck. He played he ended up having to get plastic surgery of a woman or something to change his identity. But this dude, yeah, sorry, hate to bring it to you. Now this makes me laugh. If you don't laugh at this, I don't know. I'll let you read it and take a screenshot or whatever, because this made me laugh. I almost spit out my drink. It's pretty funny. It's sick, but it's funny. Absolutely sick, but hilarious. Now, this is the last photo of this dude. Yeah, he's real into Manson too, apparently, which is... I mean, whatever. I only saw him in Nip Tuck, so who cares? Whoops. Whoops. Hold on. Hold, please. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Shit. I just totally screwed that up. It is definitely past my bedtime. Hold on. Wow, I don't even know what the hell happened. I should stop soon. I know. I'm going. I want to get through all this. I don't want to have to talk about this again anytime soon. Hold on. Let me do this. Media and presentation. That was a lot of sounds in a short amount of time, guys. My bad. All right, let's go through this one. All right, so this is Boyd's. So we have Robert de Grimston. Yeah. Oh, look, there's Genesis. Took the kid to Spawn Ranch. Helter Skelter is coming down fast. Tell me these people aren't Mansonites, yeah? Tell me again. Try to tell me again. Oh, and, here's Boyd with Marilyn Manson making all these jokes. Only an insane person could imagine that he would have raped his own girlfriend. He's a really nice guy, right? Just watch Phoenix Rising, the HBO documentary about some narcissistic actress who is a self-proclaimed survivor of dating Manson. Whoa, I always found him to be fun and intelligent, but apparently he's really mean. And right here. Yes, I too have suffered abuse at the hands of Marilyn Manson. He hijacked the cross of Lorraine off of me. Classy stuff, right? Here's his little non-logo. Oh, here's my hierarchy sigil. I am so artistic. And Carl Abramson, who has been on a show that I used to respect, but when they went slack-jaw drooling at his presence, I don't fuck with them anymore. And right here, Throbbing Gristle, all this good stuff. You see, oh, look, there's another Nazi. There's another Nazi, right? They're not even trying to hide it, right? Not even trying to hide it, yeah? Oh, look, there they are again. There's Genesis, their boy. Oh, that's kind of weird. They all know each other. Oh. Huh. It's kind of weird, right? Doesn't really say anything too bad about him. I was shocked to discover that he was something of a British national treasure. Now there's a Netflix documentary about him and how he became so reviled. Why don't you go into detail or talk about how he was hanging out with the process, you dumbass? Excuse my French, I'm tired. And right here, Slim, Iceberg Slim, had a commissioned portrait of Charles Manson made. Wonder why? Wonder why, right? The Last Testament of Anton Zandler LaVey. Oh, God, I can't stand these people. Let's just click through, okay? Walpurgisnacht. The Order of the Trapezoid. We're all a bunch of Nazi Satanist nerds, okay? Oh, look, there's Hopper. Oh, you hate to see it, right? You hate to see it. Acid is groovy, killed the pigs. Oh, okay. Okay. Whatever you say, bucko. And there is Xena and Boyd and Parfrey and Anton. Oh, they do know each other. Can you believe it? Am I blowing your mind? No, I know I'm not blowing your mind. You guys are smarter than that. And if I am blowing your mind, you're in the wrong place. Last one we got is Shreky Boy. There he is the night that he lost his ear. And here he is talking about this documentary, the Night Stalker tapes, and his relationship with Richard. Obviously something that extended past visiting in jail while the trial was going on, right? And then I just had to grab a bit of a clearer clipping of skull culture. So spoopy and serious, right? No. Oh, and look, here he is outside of the Church of Scientology. Because all these people have weird ties to Scientology. They'll just never admit it. And here he is, just as a reminder. Yeah. Because I have some issues with Mr. Hunley. Actually, I have a lot of issues, and I have for a long time before the grift weed or this jackwagon went on there. But, go on there and watch that and remember that this is a story that he has been pushing for decades and that within 24 hours he changed his mind because of information that I brought forward. I'm not saying I'm anything special, but Michael Thieves is kind of my forte and it was my fucking find. And again, if you would like to lose a couple of brain cells, you could go and watch this one. Two losers losering it out. And I don't know. He's talking about a blood pact that was signed. A tome in blood. I have no reason not to believe him. They were real specific about non-AIDS infected blood. There's the original post with his trainer, his leader. And then here he is with Timothy Leary, right? Because Timothy Leary is a bit of a dark character, one could argue. I mean, I think he is. There's a lot of really nasty stuff with him. But let's get into the last thing, and then I'm getting the heck out of here so I can go eat something and go to bed. That way, I can stop making mistakes. Let's see, because I know that they say something about the OTO in here. This document's so freaking old. Alright. Let's see. Hold on a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. Let's see. I mean, I don't know if this mentions the OTO. This is from 1953. Like, people get very particular, and I'm not mad about it. Like, it's fine. It's a valid point to bring up. It's just, I'm grabbing what I can find. And this thing I had to, like, re-download, like, 20 times because it was corrupt. The file was corrupted. But this is, the Pleroma, whatever, Richard John de Palantine, that guy, right? The one that inducted Stefan Holler. The Brotherhood of the Illuminati, right? I mean, look at how old this stuff is. 1953. Brotherhood of the Illuminati, the Order of the Illuminati, the Hermetic Brotherhood of Light, changing to the Brotherhood of the Pleroma, the Order of the Pleroma. Da 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 da. There he is, Duke de Palatine. It's just going through all these different names, all this old documentation. 1960. Masonry. I don't know what some of these other things are, right? But, the Gnostic Catholic Church, the Order of the Illuminati. This is how Nicholas was trained. Which is kind of ironic, considering that he would call all of this a bunch of conspiracy theory nonsense, even though some of this paperwork is older than him, right? Even though some of this is older than him. And no, I will never be a freaking Freemason, expert. I don't care. Other people study that stuff. I can only study so much. I don't need to be an expert in everything. You get your information where you like it. And that's what I have. But I'm going to end here. It's been a long stream. Barry, Mary. I hope that you learned something, because I know that someone will tell you about this. While I do think that you are human trash, it was not a mean of disrespect to your family. I think that you have brought shame upon your family all on your own. I do not understand why you and your peers are self-loathing, self-hating Jews. I don't understand the swing from self-loathing to Nazism. And for all the people that have been up in my comments and in my chats giving me shit that Nick's theory, the Watson-Kasabian murders, are accurate, and now he's changing it to a mafia porn angle, I hope that highlights just how uncredible he is. And don't forget what we read in that 2024 article. He still worships Set, and he thinks that Manson is foretelling prophecies through Atwa. Atwa, Process, Scientology, it's all the same shit. Underground, Weather Underground, it's all the same. It's fuck humans and save the planet. Except for the select few who think that they are genetically superior to you or me. You're not. You're not smarter than anybody, you're not an expert on anything, and you're not a recognized authority on anything. And I hope that this highlights what a charlatan you are. I hope that people will take you to task more and reconsider anything that you have put out, especially about Manson. because I think that this has proven that you have ulterior motives and it is not for the fucking truth. Because I can tell you this right now, I am 20 steps ahead of you on Thebus, because that's all I studied for quite some time. And I haven't put all of it up. But I said it on the podcast, and so I will say it again. You're welcome for the Thebus lead. You impotent fucking prick. Alright, guys, I am dipping out. Toodles.